McMahon has deep routes. The routes are 20 and 25-yard routes, and then Ferguson, 77, drives past his guy, and the three of them meet there together. But when you run deep routes, you put a lot of pressure on your offensive linemen. They have to hold their blocks about another second and a half.
Eric Williams with 2 sacks today, 2nd and 20. Time remaining. Anderson on the delay. Gets to the 26-yard line. Gain of 4 that time. Coming up for the Lions was Michael Cofer and Dennis Gibson. They're getting themselves in field goal range, perhaps, with 4 minutes remaining. Kevin Butler getting set if he's needed. Meanwhile, it's 3rd and long for the Bears. This is the first of 3 games in a row for the Bears against division opponents. They've got the Packers here at Soldier Field next week before they travel up north to face the Vikings the week after. And the Bears call a timeout. That'll leave them with 1 remaining in this first half. And Iron Mike, who lost his NFL head coaching debut, by the way, to the Lions, but he's won 8 of the last 10 against Detroit. And a reminder here, coming up at halftime, Brendan Irv will have scores and highlights. And an interesting feature, biggest of their time. They were considered oddities, but in effect, they were ahead of their time. Irv Cross checks in with the big one. That's all coming up at halftime.
What happened on this play, the reason McMahon had to call timeout, he didn't have the necessary offensive personnel to match up with the defensive personnel of the Lions. They brought in their nickel package, 2 new linemen and 3 brand new defensive backs. And then McMahon just had his 2 regular receivers, 2 backs, and a tight end. He says, hold, if this won't work, I've got a pass call. They've got me out, man. I've got to call timeout.
And the man, of course, is confusing McMahon, at least on that situation, was Wayne Fonts, the defensive coordinator, who right now is talking with James Griffin, the strong safety. And Fonts knows that he has kind of an inexperienced secondary, certainly not the strength of that club.
Well, when you talk to him about his club, he just sits there and he says, we've got to keep things too simple. We don't have the personnel to play man-to-man coverage. To be successful in the National Football League, you have to have corners that can jam and run all over the field to allow us to do more things with our secondary and our linebackers, and we don't have the personnel to do that. So consequently, to alter that, we just play plain vanilla, simple little zones that are easy for quarterbacks to read, and you put a lot of pressure on them, but they play it, and they play it very well.
3rd down and 15 at the 26-yard line of the Lions. The Bears have 1 timeout remaining. Anderson is stopped at the 15-yard line by Rafael Cherry, short of a first down by about 3 yards. He picked up 12, however.
Well, that was a lot of motion by a lot of different people that time to get a simple little screen off 4 wide receivers. Then all of a sudden, Gentry jumps into the backfield, and then they sweep everything to the right and did all that and only picked up about 7 yards out of it.
Kevin Butler with a 31-yard attempt. Tom Zach will hold. The 52-yarder, his longest, won the game against the Packers. Low snap. But Butler made up for it, and the kick is good. Kevin Butler with a field goal to raise the Bears' lead now to 24-10. Chicago with 24 points already in the first half. And that doesn't bother Jim McMahon any to know that he's got to put a lot of points on the board. He's opening up the offense a lot more, and I think he appreciates the fact that it isn't strictly a running game, that he can throw more, and they need his offense.
Well, although Walter Payton no longer is the star of this show, it's very important that McMahon run his show. He needs to run the type of game that pleases him and scores points, and they're doing that right now with Anderson and with McMahon throwing. And unfortunately for Walter, who's in his 13th year and then in final year as an NFL player, he's not seeing the action. He's not getting the yardage, and it's times it's been hard for him. He's stated otherwise in this year that, hey, this has been a tough year for me, and I feel like I'm hurting our football team. But in effect, anytime you put Peyton in your backfield, whether he carries the ball or not, you're not hurting your team, you're helping them.
Butler will be kicking off for the Bears. Woolfolk and Lee go back. Lee on the left. Short kick, end over end. And Butch Woolfolk on the run at the 15. Finds open field, penalty marker down. We may have an illegal block as Butch Woolfolk is tackled at the 29-yard line by Jim Morrissey. Normally the flag at that point means an illegal block. So that'll set the Lions back.
Illegal block above the waist. Number 54, receiving team, during the run. First down.
Thomas Boyd, who was a replacement player.
37 on the far right of your screen. Douglas right in his back. Boyd jumps on his back and rides him to the ground. You can't do that. It's clipping, illegal block, whatever you want to call it.
Duck long. 5 of 16 for 91 yards. On the 18-yard line. 2:41 remaining in the first half. Carl Bernard slips and will take a loss on the play. Bernard, as Terry mentioned, a long shot rookie free agent out of Southwest Louisiana. Scored his first NFL touchdown against the Redskins last week. Stopped that time by Steve McMichael and Mike Richardson.
You know, one of the things Long will learn as he plays this game is he has to travel to each city, play in each stadium, and get a feeling for the fans, and especially for the reputation that the Bears have. He has to get used to all these things, and in time, he finally walks in here and he says, all right, no big deal, let's play.
Bears call their last time out of the first half because with 2nd and 11, they're looking to get the ball back and try to add to their lead of 24-10, but talking about Long, he had a good description for what he has faced as a second-year quarterback. In the last 2 games, they're throwing a lot of coverages at him. He says, they're spinning the dial on me.
He said last week along he saw 20 different coverages on the first 20 plays. And I said, well, let's see, it's been 4 years since I played, Chuck, and I never saw 20 different coverages in the whole year. They just didn't do that to me. And if they did, I didn't know it anyway. The name of the game is drop back, who's open, throw it to them. And that's the way.
Barry, you know what I find that's interesting in doing our games as of late is that we come across these quarterbacks, and I know that a lot of the quarterbacks are big now, like you were when you came in. It was unusual for you, but they come in and they're kind of exuberant, sometimes cocky. They're blonde-haired, you know. I mean, we get Chuck Long, we get Jay Schrader, and I know he's benched right now, and it looks like they had the Terry Bradshaw mold once upon a time, and all the good new young quarterbacks remind people of Terry Bradshaw.
Well, they're big, but I bet today is not their 45th birthday, huh? Happy birthday. Dick Stockton, happy birthday.
And thanks, Terry, for giving the age. I appreciate that, too.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dick.
That's
sorry.
all right.
I didn't realize you were sensitive.
No.
Hey, you should have told me. You should have told me.
No, I know. I don't lie about that. That's okay.
Hey, I know. Hey, look, folks. I was only teasing, just diving, just messing around. He's really 41.
No, you were right the first
You're really
time.
upset by that.
No.
Yes, you are. Look at your face.
No, I just anything personal I shy away from. But you were right the first time. 2nd down and 11 on the 17. Long takes time, completes the pass, and he's got Mark Nichols short of a first down after the 24-yard line. He needs about 4 yards as we've reached our 2-minute warning. So Chuck Long will go to the sidelines to talk things over with Darryl Rogers, and we'll be back to Soldier Field after this. 2 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Dick Stockton and Terry Bradshaw, and the timeout story, the Lions, who need to get something going, have all of their timeouts remaining. The Bears have nothing. And the Bears are hoping, sparked by Richard Dent perhaps, to stop the Lions on a 3rd and 4 and get the ball back. Long, incomplete, Butch Woolfolk, the intended receiver, and they're still going at it.
Wilbur Marshall I don't believe I'd want to mess with Wilbur Marshall. He's from Florida. Those guys can fight down there.
Marshall made the play on Woolfolk, and then the two of them said maybe the play isn't over yet. And they went at it.
Well, I'm sure what happened was Woolfolk said, hey, man, don't be hitting me in the back. You know, something like that. Don't be hitting me in the back. You got to me before the ball got there, and Marshall didn't like it. And Marshall's been under fire, too. He's got to be a little hot. You know, they're saying that he's trying to make too many big plays and hasn't been playing the defense call, so he's feeling a little heat and thought he'd take it out on Butch Woolfolk that time.
Jim Arnold will be kicking to Dennis McKinnon. 1:55 to go. The Bears are out of timeout. So you'll see the hurry-up offense for Chicago. High kick and a good kick. McKinnon will call for the Bear tax at the 24-yard line. A 51-yard kick by Arnold, and now you know why the Lions are very pleased with their punter. Mike Tomczak will come out now and lead the Bears as McMahon stays on the sideline. I don't think McMahon is shaken up.
I don't know that he may have re-injured the ankle. You know, he injured his ankle on the Monday night game against the Broncos and had to come out in that game, and Tomczak went in. But it also could be a move by Ditka because Tomczak made a very poor decision with fourth down. He killed the clock to say, go in there, move the team back, and get some confidence back.
That was against Denver. He didn't know the downs at the end of the game. So McMahon, by the way, I understand they were looking at his ankle before. In any event, Tomczak is in there. First and 10 at the 25-yard line. Looks one way, and he dumps the pass off to Walter Payton. Payton doing a tremendous job of running, goes out of bounds, first down, and stops the clock. A gain of 15 yards. And a first down at the 41-yard line.
A great performer, Walter Payton, and one thing I can assure you, you never want to hear the applause die down. Like a great actor, even when they're in their late 60s and 70s, they walk out on that stage, and why do they come back one more time? To hear the applause. There's nothing like it, nothing like that applause. Show appreciation for what you've done over the years.
Minute 38 to go. No timeouts left, first down. And a handoff and a tremendous play by Curtis Green. Neil Anderson got the call, and Green was all over him, and now the Bears will have to line up in a hurry.
One thing I like about the Bear quarterbacks, they will call 2 plays in 2 minutes, something we don't see a lot of quarterbacks do nowadays.
Second down and 13. Tomczak steps up, he drills it, it's caught by Goff. First down in the Lion territory at the 48. Chicago is out of timeout. 15-yard gain.
Line them up. Take your time. Plenty of time. Line them up. Call the play. No reason to panic. Call one play. Run it.
First down at the Lion 48, and penalty markers will stop the clock at 53 seconds, and Bob McElwee.
Illegal snap on the center.
McMahon has suffered a slight concussion, and he's being talked to by Tom Thayer right now. So McMahon is shaken up, and that's why Tomczak came in on this late drive attempt by the Bears.
Well, the last pass we saw was a screen pass that he threw to Anderson. So evidently he got hit prior to that, and the lingering effects of that blow somewhere along that drive are having an effect on McMahon. That's why he's not in there.
First and 15 following the penalty. Back to the Bear 47. Pressure on Tomczak. Incomplete, intended for Neil Anderson. And roughing the passer penalty called against the Lions, and that'll give the Bears a new life. They'll march it off, and it'll be an automatic first down for Chicago.
You're going to see 77, Keith Ferguson. I believe he is the culprit. I don't want to name him yet, but he's the guy standing up around him. He's going to get by Van Horn. There's the hit in the head from behind, but Ferguson's the guy that actually finished him off, and I believe they threw it on Ferguson. Okay, now Harbaugh's in there, so out goes Tomczak, and in comes Harbaugh.
You don't often see quarterbacks shuffle in so fast. Tomczak goes out. Harbaugh, the number 1 pick. First and 10 at the 38-yard line. Maybe you can make up today what Michigan couldn't do yesterday. Penalty marker down, and Harbaugh goes down as well. Back in Bear territory, Michael Koper and Eric Williams combine on the sack, but the marker down. Clock stops 44 seconds. penalty against the Bears, and so the hurry-up offense is going in reverse, Terry.
Well, you've got a problem here, and the real problem...
formation. Offense. The cross decline. Second down.
The real problem is the offensive line. My gosh, 3 quarterbacks and 3 series of downs. They don't know the cadence. They don't know how these guys are calling plays. And guys are coming in. They're cold. And so this is really confusing to the offensive line. Plus a young man trying to run a complicated 2-minute offense is not even throwing a pass. He wasn't even warming up on the sideline.
Contact back in there. 4th sack of the game by the Lions. 44 seconds to go in the half. And a handoff inside to Neil Anderson. He breaks one. And Anderson carries to the 41 of Detroit. Bruce McNorton on the tackle. Gain of 12. There's McMahon watching, and the Bears line up with 30 seconds to go. They want to get into field goal range. They need to. A pass out of bounds will stop the clock. Contact. Steps up, fires. Open is McKinnon. Down to the 20-yard line, and now it's a battle against the clock. 22-yard gain. They've got to throw it out of bounds and stop the clock and set up the field goal.
Good job.
4 seconds, and Butler will come on.
Good heady job by Harbaugh. Stood in there, kept his ground. Contact. Good job. Kill the clock, 4 seconds, allow his man to kick the field goal.
He did a good job, and a 37-yard field goal attempt upcoming now. Butler has already been successful from 31 yards. Contact will hold with 4 seconds to play. And Butler's kick is good. And that'll end the first half, and the Bears will have their biggest lead of the ball game, thanks to Kevin Butler's field goal, 37 yards. And they're singing and dancing here at Soldier Field in Chicago. Bears had a 14-0 lead. The Lions came back and scored 10 points. But then Neil Anderson scored from 16 yards out. And then Butler kicked 2 field goals. And that is the end of the first half here at Soldier Field in Chicago with our score, the Chicago Bears 27 and the Detroit Lions 10.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Mercedes-Benz, engineered like no other car in the world. Liberty Mutual, for your personal insurance, business insurance, and financial service needs. And by United Airlines, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come, fly the friendly skies.
The Chicago Bears bounced back after that tough Monday night setback in Denver. Neil Anderson scoots 16 yards, and the Bears get a little breathing room. But they lose quarterback Jim McMahon because of what has been described as a mild concussion. Then Tomczak is lost for a play, but he seems to be all right. Nerve cross, you've been watching Mike Ditka's defense. You've got to be impressed by the way they're handling the passes.
Well, they're taking the ball away, which is the first thing, first of all. And also, they're putting pressure on the quarterback. They got the first sack in the first half, first time in 3 games.
All right, and the Bears should run their record now to 8-2, holding on. Atlanta, Minnesota, you know, the Vikes are giving chase. It is 10-7 right now. Atlanta has played a pretty good first half. Tommy Kramer has injured his passing hand. We don't know if a bone is broken, but he's out for the day. Wade Wilson stepped in, and this pass to Anthony Carter of 49 yards set up a Viking touchdown. But the Falcons responded with a touchdown of their own.
The Falcons knew that the Vikings played a wide charge inside the 5-yard line. Defensive tackles go outside, call the quarterback draw. Easy, 7-yard touchdown.
But then with time running out, Nelson kicked a 52-yard field goal, and the Vikes lead the Falcons 10-7. Green Bay and Kansas City, this has been a sloppy game so far. And Packers with the lead. Kansas City coach Frank Gann celebrating his 49th birthday, an unhappy celebration so far. Paul Carruth scoring on the draw play, and the Packers have a 7-0 lead in that game so far. The big game in the AFC Central. It is all Cleveland. And those who said that Houston climbed into a tie because of a weak schedule may be right. The Brown defense was holding the Oilers to less than 50 yards of total offense midway through the second quarter. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. And for the Steelers, Rod Woodson, the former Purdue star, has intercepted a pass and scored his first NFL touchdown. San Francisco and Tampa Bay. The prettiest pass-and-catch combination in the NFL, Montana to Rice, has struck for 2 touchdowns, a total of 10 on the year. That was the first one, 21 yards. They came back with a 42-yarder. It is 17-10 over the very tough Buccaneers. Now, Buffalo and the Jets, they have exchanged touchdown passes, Kelly and O'Brien, and they are deadlocked at 7. Indianapolis and New England, and the Patriots are shutting out the Colts and Eric Dickerson in the third quarter of that game. St. Louis and Philadelphia. This score has to surprise everybody, and also the way they are manhandling Buddy Ryan's defense. Folks, Neil Lomax has thrown 3 touchdown passes, 2 of them to J.T. Smith, who turns around and simply outruns the secondary. They've even hit the draw play here, Irv to Farrell.
Boy, I tell you, Farrell does a good job. You know, the Cardinals have an explosive offensive football team. I think the Eagles simply underestimated them. They left their game on the field last week, I think, against the Giants.
I think so. The Giants took a physical toll on them. And we'll continue with the NFL today on CBS right after these messages from your local station. Welcome back to New York. You know, ever since William Perry burst onto the scene a couple years ago, we have rekindled our fascination with the role of the big man in pro football. Now, the Fridge wasn't the first oversized player. And as Irv Cross takes us now for a nostalgic look at an earlier era in the NFL when it was widely believed that a waist is a terrible thing to mind.
The 1950s and 60s were the years when NFL football came of age. It was a different game in those days, but even then, there were certain big men who stood out from the crowd.
A lot of the guys I play with, they call me Fatso. They referred to me as the Geek.
These giants of the game made an impact. Bob Brown dominated as offensive tackle. Art Donovan was the first Colt to make the Hall of Fame. At 6'9", Bob St. Clair was the tallest player in the league, but at 6'8", All-Pro Doug Atkins was no slouch. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, big men have always dominated the National Football League. At a time when all the games were played outdoors and all the grass was real, the big men were truly special.
I think in the 13 years I played, I think maybe I did maybe 20 push-ups at the most. And we one time says, "You're not working out like you should." I said, "I'm in shape." I said, "What do you want, a gymnast? Do you want a football player?" He said, "Forget about it." You know.
Donovan was big, but it was Bob Brown who raised the role of offensive lineman to new levels of greatness.
I think that I was reasonably mobile. I like to think that I was exceptionally quick. And maybe other coaches saw that you could find a big man who could move and get the job done.
If you do have long legs and can jump, it's kind of an advantage. These blockers used to cut you down. You just kind of jump a little and spread your legs. So that helped me a lot.
This former high jumper still holds the distinction of being the biggest man in the Hall of Fame. The Giants of that generation did not have the advantage of the strength programs that are now in vogue. But what's so impressive is that they would still tower over today's players. Yet size alone is not enough.
There were other big men in the league. They weighed a lot more, but they weren't as tall as I was. So I seemed to have a pretty good advantage.
So without the benefit of today's nutrition and weight programs, these men had to rely on their natural skills and desire.
You gotta be big. You gotta be strong. But what counts more than anything else is your quickness and your sense of playing the game of football.
You know, the most amazing thing about that piece, though, is that the players in the 50s and 60s, on average, are about the same size as players today.
Well, let me tell you a little story about Doug Atkins. Back in 1963, he had an agreement with the old man, Papa Bear George Halas, didn't have to practice because he had a bad knee. The Bears are getting ready for the biggest game of the year against the Green Bay Packers. We're down watching practice here at gunfire in Wrigley Field. We look up, and there's Doug Atkins with a .22 hunting pigeons. He was some character. Now let's send you back to the stadium and the game you're enjoying on CBS.
We're back at Soldier Field in Chicago. Dick Stockton and along with Terry Bradshaw. The sun has disappeared. It's overcast right now, but the Bears are comfortably in front of the Detroit Lions by a score of 27-10. And CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League will continue after this word from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Toyota, setting the standard for quality and value. Miller Lite, proud sponsor of NFL Lineman of the Year. There's only one light beer, Miller Lite. And by the Industrial Tool Division of Black & Decker. Ask a man who's used one lately. Nothing beats a Black & Decker.
Well, the Chicago Bears got a threat, but have reeled off 13 points in a row to take a 27-10 lead over the Detroit Lions at halftime. And Terry, that was a wild last drive by the Bears, culminated by the field goal by Butler. And Tomczak did pretty well, 3 for 4 for 53 yards, but he came out for Harbaugh on one occasion.
Well, we thought he'd been dinged a little bit in the head, and after doing a little snooping around here, I found out that the play that was sent in was not, he didn't call that play. He checked it off and called another play, and then Ditka was furious with it, so he pulled him out. He put Harbaugh in and said, okay, I forgive you, and I go back out there and get us a field goal.
Had to be a shock to Harbaugh of anyone out on the field. Well, at the start of the game, we talked about how the Bear defense has not done it lately as far as pass coverage and the pass rush. And they certainly did the job in the first half in both categories, and they started off with a bang when Sean Gale intercepted the pass, ran it for a touchdown. Good coverage here.
Well, it was, as you can see, Long coming out, stays down the left side. The ball is thrown a little bit high and a little bit behind Manley, and there's a tip up by Manley, and Gale, of course, inserted into their nickel defense, the Bear defense for the first time this year. Right place, right time, interception, touchdown.
And what about Richard Dent giving them the pass rush they haven't gotten the last couple of games?
Well, Dent, early in the game, we had him isolated, and he did not do that good a job, kind of really playing vanilla with his rush, but now you see him coming inside, getting fast below McBrown, and then making the sack. Played well here in the second quarter.
And Jim McMahon, late in the first half, suffered a mild concussion, and we'll see if he comes back in the third quarter. This was a T-shirt that Mike Singletary gave to the team this week.
The time is now. He's upset. They called team meeting. Got him together and said, fellas, this is what we're playing for. Look inside yourself and find out what you're made of, because this is what it's all about. And if you play this game long enough,
5 seconds.
Stats mean nothing. It's Super Bowl rings. There it is, right there. January 31st, 1988. That's San Diego, California.
Singletary has himself a new contract, and he has been playing as well as any player on the defensive unit, and he decided to take things in his own hands and say the magic words to spark the team, do something a little different, and he had these T-shirts made up. So Mike Singletary, who has really been the heart and soul of the Chicago Bears defense for several years, did what he could do. Halftime statistics, and they all favor the Chicago Bears, including the time of possession. They have nearly a 7-minute edge in time of possession, plus the passing and rushing yardage as well. So here at Soldier Field, it'll be Eddie Murray kicking off for the Lions, and the Bears will receive the second half kickoff. Murray will be kicking to Sanders and Gentry back there. Break off at the last moment. And we're underway, headed towards Thomas Sanders at the goal line. Sanders, with his head down, is brought down at the 22-yard line, and that's where the Bears will start things. And Jim McMahon apparently is all right. He comes out for the second half.
As you can see there, 8 for 13, 119 yards. A good first half. The interception was only one really negative thing in his offense, but he's got the one long touchdown pass and did a fine job.
Penalty marker down.
Offside, number 50, kicking team. Free kick, 5-yard penalty.
Danny Lockett. So we'll kick it again, and remember that Sanders brought it out to the 22-yard line, and we'll see if the Bears improve that on this kickoff. Jim McMahon talking to some of the coaches. They were marveling at the way he grasped things, especially in the film room.
Right. They say that one of the things about him that he really adds to his football team is his intelligence. They can sit down there and go over a game plan, and they don't have to run the films back. He gets it on one look. Now, I have to question that a little bit. I happen to think that you have to look at it more than one time, but I think it's Jim's, he doesn't really like watching film. He's made that known, but that is kind of interesting that you can show someone one time and then bingo, he has it.
Murray will do the honors again. They in tandem, Sanders and Gentry back. Man with a touchdown pass to McKinnon for 31 yards.
Oh, he got him again.
Anderson with a 16-yard run. This time it goes over to Sanders on the left side, and Sanders, good second effort, carries it out to the 27, so a net gain of 5 yards for the Chicago Bears on the second kick. There's the Bears' last 3 possessions, and they have scored the last 3 times. And other than getting the ball on the Lions 21 following Rivera's interception, they had to go long distance to get some points.
Pretty much have, and of course, turn that thing around the other way and look at where the Lions have started. I mean, they started inside their 5 twice in the first half.
First down on the 27. They have Moorhead moving in motion. Play action, McMahon. To Moorhead, he's got it. Rafael Cherry on the tackle and a 21-yard gain. A strike to Emory Moorhead to the 48-yard line of Chicago.
You're going to see Moorhead come back inside. He'll go down and go to the outside here. Simple little route called like terminology is a bull route. That's how you look at it, bull route. McMahon sees it, reads the safety, and then throws it over the linebacker and underneath the safety that time, Cherry.
2 big catches for Moorhead for 39 yards. And a first down, that's the Bear 48. Short drop of McMahon. Moorhead that time couldn't hold on. Would have been a tough catch had he made it.
That pass is designed for McMahon to key the weak safety. And if the weak safety goes to the right, McMahon goes to the left. And that time, he went to the right and McMahon went to the left. He had a little sideline route with Moorhead as tight end, and behind that he had his flanker coming in on a slant. He chose Moorhead, just threw it too high to him. Easy coverage for these golly little zones. This is a quarterback's dream. It's simple. Nothing complex at all about what the Lions are doing in their secondary.
Second down and 10. Penalty marker down. McMahon's pass. And Anderson nearly made a sensational catch. He was covered downfield by Ricky Smith and George Jamison. Jamison, the linebacker. Penalty is against the Lions, however.
Holding, I don't know who it's called on. Looks like they're pointing to number 95, George Jamison, the linebacker. Jamison would have had a back out of that backfield, and that would have been Anderson. He very well could have tried to hold Anderson up by grabbing him at the line of scrimmage, and the back judge saw it.
Costly penalty. Jim Covert went out with a shoulder problem. That's why Paul Blair is at left tackle for Chicago. So a costly penalty instead of an incompleted pass. It is the first down for the Bears on the Lions' 37-yard line.
Come on now, let's get it in.
Penalty story.
Let's move it, ball. Move it.
Calvin Thomas in the game. McMahon toss to Galt. He's got a first down to the 25-yard line. Ricky Smith on the tackle, and Willie Galt, coming off his best game, he caught 5 for 133 yards against the Denver Broncos and leads the Bears with 5 touchdown receptions.
Dick, I hate to beat this horse to death, but this is really something that McMahon or a polished quarterback, a veteran quarterback, loves. It's very simple. The defenses are there, and McMahon's having a field day making audibles and getting his receivers in the slots and then getting the football to them.
Down to the 25 of Detroit. 13 minutes to go in the third quarter. Bears driving. Peyton off the left side. Ricky Smith came up to force the play, and he's out of bounds at the 26. And right now, for an NFL Today report, here's Brent Musburger in New York. Brent?
Well, Dick, it's a long way home for the Philadelphia Eagles, but they take the first step, and here we go. Cunningham to Quick now, 31-10. Oh, hey, Dick, happy birthday. Is it true what Terry Bradshaw says? Are you really 36 years old?
Oh, yes. I hope everyone heard you say that, Brent. I'll take it any day. But I think Terry was right the first time, but I'm just not going to go back to that number. Second and 10 for Chicago. Anderson to the top of the screen. And McMahon almost got out of danger. Keith Ferguson brought him down, and that is the 5th sack of the game by the Lions. Ferguson has 2.
You know, if I were McMahon, I'd take my right arm and wave it to Ditka on the bench, and I'd tell Ditka, don't send me in any more plays. I know everything that's going on out here, and the real way we're going to score a lot of points is for me to throw the football. So you just keep the plays over there, and I'll run the show out here. And if I were McMahon, I'd throw every down. This is too easy, and I'd take advantage of it. It doesn't happen to you every week.
I think he'd like that.
Oh, he would love it.
3rd and 14. You know he'll throw here. Didn't say that with the inside handoff so prevalent lately. And McMahon is stripped up again by Ferguson. And that is his 3rd sack of the ball game, and 2 in a row for the Lions, gives them 6. So the Lions are getting to Jim McMahon, even though they trail by 17.
They get to him here in a prevent situation, 6 defensive backs. And actually what's happening is the number 68, that time Paul Blair got beat by Ferguson 2 times in a row.
Ferguson was the defensive MVP last year for Detroit. Now Brian Wagner comes in and kicks. He's at midfield. Back for the Lions. Pete Manley. And Carl Bland. Bearcats called by Bland. Right at the sideline. At the 17-yard line. So Wagner does his job, a 20-yard kick. But they've got the Lions hemmed in, and we'll see what Chuck Long and company have in mind when we come back to Chicago. Well, the sun has come out again, as you see here at Soldier Field, and a pleasant afternoon. Unusual, perhaps. We had some frigid temperatures, got down to the 30s last night, but temperatures are in the high 40s, low 50s here. James Jones, who was out for a while with a pinched nerve, is back in the ball game. And William Perry is also a cheerleader.
He learned to do that. That's aerobic class. That's one of those exercises you take your hands and go over your head. Look at the eyes of Perry. You think he's not fired up?
1st and 10 Lions on their 17, trailing 27-10. Jones and runs right into Perry. Well, there's a lot of cushion there, so that didn't hurt at all for James Jones.
All the talent in the world won't do you a bit of good if you don't have the heart and desire and the inspiration to really play at your very best. And William Perry certainly had his critics here, namely in the voice of Mike Ditka. But look at this, plays off the guard and stuffs Jones right at the line of scrimmage.
2nd down. Long goes up top. Overthrown. Vito Cav, the intended receiver, and the Bears came close to maybe picking off another one. Ron Rivera downfield. Todd Bell there as well.
Excellent job by Long reading the coverage. As you can see here, Barrows, the left guard on William Perry, but Long sees the 2 deep. He sees the linebackers coming up, as you can see Singletary there, and then he tried to get the ball into Vito Cav.
3rd and 9. Detroit looking for their first conversion on this down. And they've got Wilfolk out of bounds, short of a first down by a yard. It'll be 4th and 1. The stop made by Wilbur Marshall. So it's 4th and 1. And the Lions will kick it away. Jim Arnold enters the ball game, and the Bears defense holds again. Dennis McKinnon goes back for Chicago. 11:14 remaining in the third quarter. Dick Stockton and Terry Bradshaw, the Bears trying to raise their record to 8-2, coming back after a Monday night loss to Denver. Another good kick by Arnold. Sends McKinnon back to the 15. And a fine open field tackle at the 19-yard line by Carl Bland. 59-yard kick, and it was Carl Bland with a terrific play. He'll get kudos when they look at those films. And we'll be back. A reminder to spend your Thanksgiving Day right here at CBS. The NFL Today with a special edition starts it off at 3:30 Eastern Time. Then the Minnesota Vikings go against the Dallas Cowboys. Both teams with identical records, both looking for playoff berths. The Vikings did not do too well during the replacement games, but they find themselves 2 games behind the Bears, and the Dallas Cowboys, with a big win in overtime last week against the Patriots, will try to keep their momentum going. That's Thursday on CBS Sports. Meanwhile, the Bears will start out following a illegal block penalty on the punt on their own 8-yard line. Anderson and Payton, the running back. First down. Anderson on a counter. And brought down in the Lions' aggressive pursuit. That was Dennis Gibson, rookie from Iowa State, an 8th-round pick. Surprise in camp. Handled Anderson well that time.
They like Gibson a lot. Thing they like about him most of all, especially in the 3-4 where they have to have 2 inside linebackers, he teams up well with Robinson, the other linebacker, and he's a kid that can go at the point of attack and really take on the big guards and tackles and the tight ends that crash down on him. A really strong guy inside. Not that good in coverage, but very good against the run.
Gained only a yard. 2nd and 9 on the 9. And 20 remaining in the third quarter. This time it's Sanders. Turning the corner, and Sanders is brought down close to a first down. Jimmy Williams making the tackle. Very close to first down yardage.
Von Stolas, Jimmy Williams was his best player on his defense. He is our absolute very best player on defense. Guy can fly. He's a sprinter, can really get out and run things down. He's our chaser.
He said that if the Lions were a contender, he'd be an all-pro candidate.
Well, that goes to tell you there that if you win, you get a little publicity, a lot more airtime. You do commercials. And when you start doing those things, people take notice, and then players start voting for you.
3rd and 1 for the Bears. Now they send McKinnon. Sanders. They have the first down at the 24-yard line. Again, it was Dennis Gibson taking on the ball carrier. And it is a first down for the Bears. So they get out of immediate danger and keep that clock running.
McMahon's got an excuse here to throw a pass. He's putting his hands up over his head to shade his eyes as if he can't see the signal, hoping it's not a running play, hoping it's, coach, it's a pass. I'm going to throw a pass now, and I'll use the sun as my excuse.
First down at the 19. Thomas Sanders and Calvin Thomas are the split backs. McMahon toss to Sanders, brought down in a hurry by Dwayne Galloway. You know, when we were talking to Ed Hughes about McMahon, he started to talk about the injury, the rotator cuff. He said prior to his injury, he was a kamikaze quarterback. He was reckless. He was reckless with his own body. And then since his return,
I said, golly, you mean the kid's finally grown up? He says, no, since his return, he's reckless as ever.
He's the same way. We expected something else.
He's never been as bad as he was prior to his operation. You would think a guy that's so fortunate to have his career still going on would slow down. Not McMahon. You gotta like the guy.
2nd down and 2 at the 27 brings a lot of color to the game, that's for sure, whether you like him or not. Thomas Sanders is stopped. Eric Williams making the tackle. It'll be 3rd down and a long 2 for the Bears.
While we're here singing the praises of McMahon, Williams and Ball and Ferguson are doing a fine job as the defensive front for the Lions. I tell you, the Lions have played well. Their linebackers and their defensive line has put pressure on the Bear quarterbacks all day long. Once again, very simple coverages make it very easy for the Bear quarterback to throw the football.
Big play was Rivera's interception for the Bears that gave them great field position to score a touchdown when it was 14-10. And now timeout is called by the Bears. So they call their first and 3 timeouts here with 7:17 remaining in the third quarter. And we'll be back to Soldier Field after this. We're at Soldier Field in Chicago on a beautiful afternoon. Dick Stockton and Terry Bradshaw. The Bears, who have been having defensive problems, made their mark defensively early, took a 14-0 lead. Lions came back to threaten, and 13 unanswered points have given the Bears a 27-10 lead. They have now a 3rd down and 2 on their own 27-yard line. Inside handoff to Gentry, and Gentry appears to be close to a first down at the 30. Jimmy Williams tripped him up.
Everyone in the National Football League that has a shotgun offense with one back there. You saw this on Monday night with Elway. The quarterback takes it and hands off underneath. And what Elway and them did was play action underneath and then threw the football off of it. And I would expect sometime for Ditka and his offense to do the same thing.
They're going to measure to see whether they got the first down. And they've got it. Wayne Font, defensive coordinator, on the sideline. And right now for an NFL Today report, let's go to Brent Musburger in New York. Brent?
Ditka, Minnesota can't shake Atlanta. Their fans might want to keep an ear tuned to this one. The Falcons come back, good pass protection. Campbell zips it to Aubrey Matthews. And right now it's 17-13, Vikes ahead. Back to Dick.
Boy, you got to really watch out for some of those teams that are upset-minded late in the year when they have no chance for the playoffs, Terry. First and 10 at the 30-yard line. McMahon has the ball tipped. Jimmy Williams gets a hand on it. And it'll be second down. McMahon had hit 6 of his last 7 before that ball was tipped.
Let's take a look at Williams, number 59, left outside linebacker of the Lions. Notice in the bottom of your screen, he takes an inside route. No one touches him, and he gets right up inside there in the face of McMahon as Peyton tries to block him, knock his legs out from under him. No good. Williams gets his hand on the ball and knocks it down.
Bears have won 6 in a row against the Lions. The Lions have not scored more than 17 points in those 6 games. Second down, 10. McMahon drills it, and it's caught by Galt. Good enough for the first down at the 42. James Griffin on the stop. Great throw by McMahon.
That's right. And a lot of the people that are watching say, why doesn't McMahon take Galt deep and try to hit him with the ball deep? But you can't do that against these zones. You will not see a long pass to Galt today unless he catches a 5 or 10 yarder, breaks a tackle, and goes all the way.
He's caught 3 for 39. Last week, big plays, 5 for over 100 yards. And Willie Galt, more of a threat than ever. Comes out wide to the right. First and 10 for the Bears on their own 42. Peyton has Anderson blocking. Turns the corner nicely and goes out of bounds. Close to midfield. Chased by Dennis Gibson. Walter Payton always carried the ball and others had to wait, and now this year it's been a different situation for Payton. He's had to stand by while Anderson carried the brunt.
Well, that's what the word was, is that when this question was brought up with Hughes, the thing he said, well, how do you think all the running backs in the years that Payton has been a Bear, how do you think they felt having to sit back and watch him carry the ball 30 to 40 times a game?
A little bit of a turnaround this time. Second and 5 at the 47, the pass. Boso, the tight end, hit at midfield by Shelton Robinson. Quite a crack by Robinson. It'll be third down and 3 now. Time remaining in the third quarter. Nickel package coming in now for the Detroit Lions.
Boso's a tight end that McMahon likes to work short. He's a guy that has the agility, the skills to move a linebacker out to the right and cut back across him. And that time, instead of using 29 coming out of the backfield, not Sanders, but Gentry, they used both over the tight end.
3rd down and 2. Payton, he's got the first down. Like Bear football of old, a first down for Payton to the Lion 44. Jimmy Williams with help from Ivory Sully on the stop.
Well, Moorhead, 87, is supposed to be the good blocking tight end, but Boso, number 86, is the kid that Ditka saw when they played against the St. Louis Cardinals. He liked him. He said, hey, every time we looked up, that guy was making a block or making a catch, but now all of a sudden Ditka gets an opportunity to pick him up off the waiver wire, and Boso, probably the future tight end here for the Bears.
Bears have held the ball on this possession for 6.5 minutes. First down on the Lion 44. Payton looking for room. Gets maybe a yard, and that's all, but the clock continues to run, winding down to 4 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. That time, the rookie nose tackle, Jerry Ball from SMU, was there.
This is the kind of football that Ditka likes. As you look at Ball 93 now, instead of having McMahon throw the ball 30 to 35 times a game, he's able to come out and run the football now. He's passed earlier. Now he's running, mixing it up, killing the clock, got a big lead. This is ideal for Ditka.
And in the first half, the Bears had an advantage of nearly 7 minutes in possession. 2nd and 9. Thomas Sanders using that speed outside. Penalty flag is thrown. And Sanders is down at the 37-yard line by Dwayne Galloway.
Anderson, 35, complaining, saying, I didn't hold my man. So I'm assuming that that's who the flag has been thrown on.
Penalty will be against Chicago.
Anderson holding Eric Williams, 76.
Holding. 35. Offense. Still second
with
down.
Anderson. Still second down, and they're going to move that ball back into Bears territory.
It's unusual that a running back, a tailback like Anderson, is required to block a defensive end. It very well could have been someone missed their block, and he tried to save the guy by blocking their man. Far outweighed.
Second down, 19 for the Bears. Back in their own territory to the 47. His hand throw. Dropped that time by Willie Gault. He made plays like that earlier. That time he just couldn't hold on. Dennis Gibson and Dwayne Galloway were downfield covering.
See what happened? Dick, he goes down. We're talking about Gault. He ran down, turned around 12 yards wide open, waiting to get hit and drop the football. Said, oh, where's the contact? And he dropped the football.
Flag down. Another one.
Holding. 55. Defense. 5 yards. Automatic first down.
That one really hurt. Michael Cofer holding an automatic first down for the Chicago Bears.
Let's watch Gault. As you can see, he's on Galloway, number 40 now. Galloway drops way off, respecting the speed of Gault. Now Gault turns around. He jumps up in the air, and now he says, where's the contact? Where's the contact? Nowhere in sight. Gosh, those guys are just 7 yards behind him.
And somewhere else on the field, Cofer was holding. So an automatic first down for the Bears on the Detroit 48-yard line. McMahon didn't have anyone and dived forward, and the Bears have to cringe every time McMahon runs with the ball. Eric Williams knocked him down, and it'll be second down and the clock running. That's the time remaining. Tremendous ball control series for the Chicago Bears here, who have a 17-point lead in the second half. That's how long it's been.
Well, they've covered about 110 yards so far, but too many penalties.
And this time, Gault holds on. First down, Bears. Galloway on the tackle. A 15-yard pickup to Willie Gault. His fourth catch of the game.
You got to like this because McMahon tells Gault, you're open, I'm throwing it to you, you catch it. Same combination. Galloway turns. Now notice that Galloway turned his shoulders, respecting the deep move by Gault. This time Gault says, no way am I going to drop this baby.
So another big game for Willie Galt.
I would have done the same thing. Keep those guys confident. Throw them the football, even after they drop one.
First down at the 32. McMahon has Boso. He holds on to the 25. All over him is Shelton Robinson, but you get an example of Boso's intense concentration.
Well, actually, this is a ball probably shouldn't have been thrown. Boso will come out right of your screen. He'll cross right in front of you. And 51 is Robinson. He picked him up. Just a fine grab that time by Boso.
You mentioned the fact that he came over from the St. Louis Cardinals, but he originally was drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And we let him go. Huh. That really makes me mad.
Not too mad.
They need a tight end.
2nd and 3. Calvin Thomas tries to go wide and is dropped by Curtis Green. A loss on that play, and we're under a minute remaining. 40 seconds to go in the third quarter.
Green will get credit for the tackle, but actually he made that tackle because number 59, Jimmy Williams, knocked the back off and made the back take a wider route, the running back that is, with a football, and forced him right into Green.
The 18th play of this drive is upcoming for the Bears. 3rd down and 5 on the Lions 26. Maybe the last play of this third quarter. Swing it out, and Anderson was looking to run before he saw the ball in his hand. And it'll be 4th down. We'll have another play. There are 4 seconds remaining, and Kevin Butler enters the scene.
McMahon should have gotten out of this play. There's no way he should have thrown that flare pass. He should have seen that it was man coverage by the bump on his wide receivers and gotten out of the screen because there's a man responsible for covering the running back. And just made a little audible and throw it downtown and let Galt or McKinnon run under it for the touchdown.
The Butler has made picks from 31 and 37. He's moving it up a notch now to 43 yards. And now they run out of that formation. It is a fake field goal. They go out of it. Tomczak hands off. And Wilbur Marshall, the ball carrier, who is in short blocking formation, and Ivory Sully made the stop on 4th down, and that is the gun ending the quarter. Bears held the ball for the last 11:02 of the quarter. And that's the end of the third quarter with the score. Bears 27, the Lions 10. Terry, how did this go?
I want you to notice this man, that's the kicker. He's going to shift way outside. Now as we run the play, notice Butler. Now our guys are down. Now he shifts. Now he's way out here. Now we'll circle him again. He's got to come inside and make a block.
Lions take over on downs. Long first pass is incomplete. Intended for James Jones. Now, go ahead.
Now, folks, we left you with Kevin Butler as a wide receiver. Now we have him isolated right there on Ricky Smith, 41. Now, here's the fears of a kicker as he comes inside, and he has to feel the wrath of Ditka saying to him, hey, look, we put you out there. You have to block.
The Bears had the ball almost the entire third quarter. You want to know why Detroit couldn't make any headway? Just look at those numbers. 2nd and 10. At the 25. Long. How did he get out of trouble? Well, he doesn't this time. And Richard Dent has his 2nd sack of the ball game. He has both Chicago sacks.
There's a look at Dent in the top right of your screen. Now the Lions have put a tight end over him. That would be Lewis. Lewis releases, and now Lomas Brown has Dent. Actually, Lomas takes Dent by him, but now Dent, with great effort, comes back and sacks Long.
Dent's having quite a game. 3rd down and 14. Long completes the pass for a first down. Mark Nichols and a gain of 17. Bestie Jackson defending on the play. So just when it looked as if the Lions were going to give it up again after a short series, they keep it going, and a first down on their own 38.
You know, Dick, if you look at the 3 wide receivers for the Lions, one of the things that really sticks out is the average yardage per catch. All 3 of these receivers are over 18 yards per catch. That means they're catching the football down the field.
Long on first down. And a fine catch by James Jones, and now they say he did not have possession. Oh, Rivera was covering downfield. Ron Rivera, who already has an interception for the second straight game, battled Jones, who just couldn't hold on. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, and we'll tell you more about it after this replay.
Okay, now you can keep on reading that card.
It's intended for the private use of our audience, is my point. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Chicago Bears and the National Football League is prohibited. You got it.
All right.
Second down and 10. Pass was intended for Jeff Chadwick. Mike Richardson covering.
Well, Chadwick's been kind of quiet today. If you look at the bench, McMahon, Tomzak, Thayer, the right guard, 57, sitting over there, nervous, anxious to get the ball back. Look at McMahon. Piece of work.
Got the familiar headband.
Where's the shade?
Not much to say. Third and 10 at the 39. Long. Good catch by Chadwick. And he doesn't get first down yardage. He's short by a yard and a half. It was Wilbur Marshall and Sean Gale that time. And right now, for an NFL Today report, let's check in with Brent Musburger. Brent?
Well, Dick, San Francisco is going to keep pace with Chicago in that drive for home field in the playoffs. Jerry Rice has caught 7 passes today, 3 of them for touchdowns. Back to Dick.
He is phenomenal. Everyone knows he's going to get the ball and get it deep and get it short, and he still grabs the ball. Jerry Rice. Fourth down, and Jim Arnold will kick it away. And Dave Durison goes back for the Bears. Chuck Long has completed 33% of his passes, went into the game with a 60% completion. What the Bears defense has done to him today. Another booming kick by Arnold, and Durison calls for the fair catch, and the Lions can keep it in play, and they do. Gary Lee made the play. First man down nearly got turned around and overran it. So we'll return to Soldier Field in Chicago after this word from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Chrysler Motors. We just want to be the best. Minwax Wood Finishes. Minwax makes wood beautiful. And by Magnabot. Smart products for smart people. Magnabot. Smart. Very smart.
Dick Stockton and Terry Bradshaw back here at Soldier Field in Chicago. We have 12:32 remaining in the fourth quarter. Bears in front 27-10, but if the Lions ever wanted to get back in the game, this may be their best opportunity. They have the Bears hemmed in on their own 1-yard line. First down for Jim McMahon. Throwing on first down. And going deep. Willie Gault had beaten his defender, Dwayne Galloway, but the pass was just a little bit too far.
I believe Willie Gault tripped on the turf, or I believe he catches this football. Now, this is just a foot race, so watch Galloway from the very beginning. Notice his hip. He's turned right now in his sprinter stance, and all Gault has to do is stop for a big gainer. But look at this. He goes, and then at the very end, I believe, well, the ball actually was a little bit inside, or I believe Gault could have made that catch. Boy, wouldn't that have been something? 99 yards. I never had one that long.
No, ever. How was you long?
That's 70, I guess. Something like that. Just a little bitty one.
Walter Payton was not in on that down, but he is now on 2nd and 10. And gets the carry. Brings it out to the 5-yard line. It'll be third down and about 6. Tackle that time by Dennis Gibson. Shelton Robinson also involved.
You know, as a quarterback backed up like that, Dick, even a veteran quarterback like McMahon, it is not a very comfortable position knowing that from this 5-yard line we can fumble, we can throw interceptions, we can be sacked for a safety. You know, there's a lot of those things that make you uncomfortable when you have to throw the football. So, you know, For whatever that's worth.
It's worth a lot. 3rd and 5. Whistle blows. The clock had run down. We may have a delay.
Delay the game. Offense.
Half the distance.
Well, I've always said it.
How much distance?
Anytime you wave in those plays, anytime you wait and send the plays in by a messenger receiver or running back, it takes more time. As you can see, this is what Ditch is doing now with Peyton sending in a play, but I always called